Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I talk about it. This week's game is Little Nemo, the Dream Master. It was made in 1991, it's a platformer, developed by Capcom and published by Nintendo. And also there'll be spoilers up ahead, just so you know, but first a little backstory. I vaguely remember playing this game at a friend's house with my brother, and much later I saw the movie Little Nemo. And it's one of those anime movies that I actually like a lot. It's actually a good movie. But I'm not here to talk about the movie, I'm here to talk about the game. So let's get into that. So the game starts out in New York, 1905. And there's like an airship outside of the window. And this little kid, Nemo, he wakes up and he's confronted by a messenger dressed like a clown. And he's invited to go to Slumberland and be the playmate of a princess there. And he agrees to this because he gets bribed with candy. And a very good moral cake, story for a little kid, bribe them with candy. So the first stage is Dreamland, the mushroom forest. And the thing about this game, it's actually, it doesn't have a timer. That's what I was trying to say. You start with 3 lives, and you can take 3 hits before you die. But before anything happens, you meet up with Flip. He is this... he's not a bad guy, but he's mischievous, at least in the movie. And he tells you that the mushroom forest is super dangerous, and it is, because everything is out to kill you. It's full of creatures. Even your ally creatures that you feed candy can hurt you if you just walk into them, basically. I'll talk more about that when that comes up. So the point of the game is to defeat Nightmare, the Lord of Nightmares. And you do so by traversing stages and collecting keys. So these these keys are distributed out through the levels, and you just pick them up. That's what you do. And there's a mechanic to this game that Nemo throws candy with the B button. And you can feed certain animals the candy, feed them 3 candies and they basically become part of you. Either he rides the animal or they become like a onesie, which is kind of creepy. And all the animals that you can turn into have different abilities. So the first enemy ally that I got was a frog, and he's really slow moving, but he jumps really high, he can swim really fast in water. And at any time while in animal form, I guess, you can press the select button to deform or de-transform, untransform, I guess. So the enemies of the mushroom forest are spiky snails, skeleton bees, green bats, and 2-legged frogs. So throughout the level there are these health items that you can pick up, basically small vials. They resemble like milk bottles and med kits or med packs. So Nemo only can take 3 hits, but some of the animal companions that you can turn into have more hits, like the gorilla, for instance. There are also some hidden 1-ups throughout the levels, but you don't really need them, because if you die or get a game over, you just start over at the stage that you were at. That's actually really good. So I haven't said this yet, but I guess I'm about to now. This game is really, really hard, and it kicked my ass this week. So, but I can imagine, all these nightmarish enemy creatures attacking a little kid. And a little kid is like a fragile thing, so it makes sense that it's hard. And it's also like all this responsibility is put on this kid to save Slumberland, I mean, from a nightmarish creature like all of his minions. He's just a kid, go easy on him. So I also forgot to tell that the candy doesn't really hurt the enemies, the normal enemies anyway. It just stuns them for a bit, but you can't just walk through them, you have to jump over them, because that's a mechanic, I guess. So once the levels end, you collect all the keys, you open up a door to the next stage, and there's actually a cutscene that plays between with his mom yelling at him to get up or something like that. And this next stage is called the Flower Garden, or you meet one of the characters from the movie, Wumpy. I forgot that. I think they're like 3 brothers or something, at least in the movie, and they're basically there to help you win the battle. So what I like about Flower Garden is the motif. It's full of flowers, and the background is like this blue background with mountains. It's beautiful, breathtaking. So this stage was the first time I hit a real difficulty like wall difficulty. There is this part where you have to feed a monkey or a gorilla a bunch of candies, because gorillas likes candies, right? So you feed them a bunch and you transform into the animal, and you have to climb a tree. So there are those annoying enemies that looks like spores or like snowflakes with an evil grin on their faces, and these guys just spawn in and they just lock onto you and you have to avoid them. But it's impossible not to climb this tree in monkey form and not take damage from these annoying bastards. But you have to climb the tree because top of it is a key that you need for the exit. You can't exit the game or get to the next level without the keys. So you have to climb this tree, and this game is hard, as I said before. This is my least favorite part of this game. So to the surprise of no one, this is the first time I got a game over, and I learned that it doesn't really matter. You just start over again. And there's no real penalty to dying. I guess you just start over. So I continue on with the level, and I got this like lizard form that lets you climb walls. It's practical, and previous to the first stage, there was like you can turn into a mole, and it's mandatory to actually, you need to dig down and find keys underground. So I eventually got all the keys, and yeah, that was that. I moved on to the next stage. So the third level, or the third dream, is called the House of Toys. And what it really is, it's a long train ride with everything trying to hit you. And this is one of those things where I don't believe that a kid could beat this game ever, because this is hard as balls. I actually have a confession to make. I abused save states by playing this on my modded NES Mini. There are some things that a man shouldn't do, and this is one of those things. But I forced myself through this level because I believe that at the end of this shitty ride of a train wreck, basically level, whatever, would be something awesome, because it has to be, right? Why would you ever go through the torture of actually trying to complete this? But I managed to beat it, and at the end of the level, they did something nice, at least. If you missed some keys during the ride, there's you can pick up like 5 or 6 keys at the end, so you won't have to restart the game. That's a nice little touch, at least. So the fourth dream is at the sea, and it has this really cool pirate ship. So you can you feed like a hermit crab some candy, and you can burrow yourself down on the ground or in the sand. So that's one of the mechanics. Most of the animal companions do the same thing. Some have extra attacks, and others just, they are pretty much similar, but to another environment. So the fifth dream is Nemo's house, and there are flying turtles that spits eggs. There's some green bats again, and monkeys standing on porcelain stacks throwing porcelain at you. So yeah. So this level is really weird. I get it that it's a dream and it's a kid's dream, but everything in his house is huge and really weird. So you have to collect all the keys, and the exit is at Nemo's bed, so that's where you want to go. There's also this transformation. You can turn into a rat, or you ride on the back of it, and it has this mullet. I don't know where he got the mullet from, but it's one of those funnier things. So the sixth dream is the Clouded Ruins, and this is a really trippy, weird thing. You're on top of rooftops, and then you jump on some clouds, and it's really weird and trippy. But there are actually ruins at the top of the clouds. It's a cool concept, at least, but So the next level, that will be 7, I guess, is Tipsy Turvy, and I have to Google what that actually means, and it actually means upside down. It's what it is. It's a house that is upside down and really weird, but great concept yet again. Like any dreams, you have like weird things happening, and this is one of them. And now it's time for the final stage, Nightmare Land, and it's basically a boss rush. You fight against like a penguin, I think it was the first one. And previous to this, there was like a little cutscene where King Morpheus gives you the power of the Dream Scepter thingy, so you can shoot beams. So yeah, so you just bombard the thing with beams. So the last boss of the stage is actually the nightmare itself, and he like throws green spit things at you, and you try to avoid him, and you just fill him up with beams, I guess. And then there is like a cutscene where Nemo becomes the prince of Slumberland, and he also gets the kiss from the princess, because that's what playmates do, I guess. I don't know. And that's pretty much the end of the game. So gameplay. Help the princess save Slumberland from the evil king of nightmares, and save her father because he was imprisoned, I believe. control, the A button jumps, the B button throws candy or use the scepter. The D-pad moves around, and if you press down on the D-pad, Nemo does this cute little ducking animation. Select, disable or dismantle your animal form while in it, and start pauses the game. Graphics. Colorful sprites, a good palette choice. I like the flower garden aesthetics. I talked about it a little bit, but full of flowers, color, and a blue background with mountains. Really, really nice one. Sound and music. Junko Tamiya made the music for this game. It's a good, chirpy little NES soundtrack. Not a bad track in it. Easter egg secrets and glitches. So the Japanese version has, during the cutscene, Flip is actually smoking a cigar, and it's removed for the European and American release. So I don't really know why, because in the movie, Flip smokes, but he quit smoking at the end, or at least he promised Nemo that he would. So there's actually a level skip, and I found out this much later when I put the game down, when I was doing some research for the for the podcast. So at the start screen, you just push up, select left, right, A, B, and then an option pops up. So if you press the A button when on this option, you actually just change the level select. So if you press once, you get to the first level, press twice, you get to the second level, and so on. So you can actually play the last level if you want without really playing anything else, which is nice. A little icing on the cake, I guess. So in conclusion, I wrote yes, at least try it. So this game is really colorful. It has a great palette and great sprite work. I like the animation when you feed the allies their candy, the animal allies. It's super cute. One of my favorite is like the gorilla. When he gets stunned by eating too much candy, he blows like a little bubble out of his mouth, like a sleeping bubble. I thought it was cute and funny. But on the other side, this game is very long and it's super hard, and I don't think a kid could ever beat this in one sitting. Nowadays we're spoiled with save states, so I don't think a kid would have the patience to go through a game like this. So if this game would have been a little shorter and perhaps a bit easier, it would have been much more fun to play. But you can't have everything, I guess. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for listening and or watching, and take care.